I feel like you guys represent two sides to the same coin, and we're gonna get deep. You know what I mean? But the context of like what is appropriate for a follower of Jesus, a disciple of Jesus, in the context of culture. Are there lines we should color within? I think you guys represent the same heart and the same vision, but expressed differently. And I think people probably got questions for you, because I'm tired of responding to freaking. They text me like I'm like the big homie, like I'm supposed to correct you or something. And it's like, I don't have a problem with Foggy's music. I love Foggy's music, and I think there's people, questions that people may have for you, and
I be talking mad trash,
and you be talking, you be talking, and it's this line of where and how should we be operating as believers in music and culture. There's, again, extremes, right? One extreme is ministry over industry. We doing it for the kingdom. Altar calls, gospel presentations for I don't know whose voice that is. For Jesus
That's how they also
Christ. If you ain't leading souls to the Lord and putting on Instagram how many gay there are to the Lord, you ain't doing it for the Lord in a real way.
Either Sergio in a real way, or TD Jake's white cousin. I don't know.
And that's that extreme. And then now we're seeing more and more of this like loosey goosey, anything goes. Is Jesus, is he really essential? Is he really the only way? Is the Bible really the final authority on human conduct? Do I have to not talk about smashing chicks in my songs? I'm keeping it authentic. We're gonna call them the authentic squad, right? Like there's the authentic and there's the extra super duper sanctified, petrified, glorified. They bringing heaven to earth right now, and there's no room for artistry, and there's no room for expression, and there's no room for liberty. Damn, that was a good introduction. What y'all think about all this? Y'all are, I think, on different extremes, and I'll land on my specific question, because I know where I want to go with this, but I just kind of want to get just general overview. What do y'all think about this current climate that we're in? Foggy, you can go first.
Okay, so I feel like basically at some point in your Christian life, you're kind of gonna be, I'm fresh. It's like, I just became a Christian. Like, I'm like, I can't listen to Brandy no more. You throw all that stuff away. And I feel like, some people have different life paths where it's just like, okay, because I personally feel like I experienced certain things. I've met different people. I've been to different parts of the world, so it's just like the way I see things is a little bit different, so it comes off as loose, but the way I see it is just like a little bit more understanding and having perspective. So I just understand like, okay, you know what, maybe I'm okay with certain type of language because I'm going all over, and it's like, I'm seeing Christians and they're using different type of language. That's and it's like somebody who you stayed in like Oklahoma your whole life. It's just like, okay, I don't really fault you.
Bang on Oklahoma?
I like Oklahoma though, but it's just like, okay, you be like, nah, you absolutely can't talk like that. But it's like, you really don't know what Christians in Florida are like, or what Christians in New York are like. So it's just like, I feel like I'm always gonna fall on the more liberal side, because I feel like it's just more perspective driven, more understanding, but I don't fault nobody, because it's like,
And I will say, to add to your point, I do feel like it's mad different coastally than it is across America. Like, so if you're in Seattle, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Atlanta, DC, New York, right? It's way different than when you start getting into like the heart of the Bible Belt. Like the culture is just different.
That's true.
Out here, we've historically said hella. Like that's like California's.
Some people think that's wrong,
and some people legit are offended by us saying hella or listening to secular music. Like I've always been like, don't make blanket statements and say all secular music is evil, because that's just not cool. You know what I mean? So we've seen that in terms of the separation. Another degree I would say is I've had friends from Ireland, and you're Irish, right? Charlie Powers is Irish.
I'm also Irish, just on that.
Boom. That have gone and done mission trips in Ireland, that have believers that have came from Ireland, and Ireland, they just cuss. Like the Christians there cuss, It's completely socially acceptable. Pastors, right? And it's like
don't know.
And it's like what are they not Christians?
Right.
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
And so their cultural norm is completely different. One of my biggest, I'm a fan of Bono. U2. Bono. Their music is clean for the most part, but he's cussed publicly before, and it's just not a thing in different subcultures. So I feel you on that. John Keith, what do you think in terms of just culture, liberties, like what are the lines, like all these different things that I think people, the public conversation, they're trying to figure it out.
I don't know. I think as we move further into culture, people, I don't know, just in time as we progress, I think people are, I don't know, I think my stance on this is going to become very unpopular, but I feel where you're coming from. I think that in certain contexts, not all language, not even like all cuss words and stuff like that is evil. I don't think so. But at the same time, like I've always said, like for me personally, I think that for believers, if something is going to ruin your witness, if it's going to give somebody a reason to say you're a suspect, I would just, I'm staying away from that. I'm going to make an effort to stay away from that. But another thing
you're willing to lay down that liberty for the sake of not blowing your witness.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because that, I feel like that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
The gospel,
yes,
is ultimate, big picture is the goal. And I feel like if we compromise little moments, the big picture gets corrupted. But I feel like another thing is I hear all the time that, like something a friend of ours said the other day was like, someone, like you need to be able to show like who you are and express yourself. And I think that is cool, but I think that we need to be open to, like, I think when we get so married to that, like, I need to express myself and I need to show people who I am in this sense, like just
overly authentic,
everything,
right?
That's like overly authentic. Yeah. Then it's like you become married to this idea of yourself, and you're not really open to God changing you, because that's ultimately what the goal is. You want God to change you, because let's be real here, we're not. Yeah. We don't look a whole lot like Jesus. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, me, like personally, where I'm at is like, if there's something in my life that I know is not right, I'm not gonna, I might like talk about the struggle of it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna like.
Not gonna glorify.
I'm not gonna glorify. Yeah. Even if that's how I feel, you know what I'm saying, like.
And I think that's a very healthy boundary, and I'm sure you would agree with that. Like if there's a sin in your life, we shouldn't talk about it in a way that makes the sin look good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think most people would agree with that, and I think we would agree that it's tough because we're not. Some of the people.
But some you can argue about like what is making it look good. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say.
Get a little closer.
Let's say like I'm a rapper, so it's like if I say something about a sin, it might sound cool just because I said it cool, but that doesn't mean I'm glorifying it. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think
there's two different ones though. I think there's like it could be like, let's say for in the topic of like sex, right? So like you could write a song where it's like, this is what happened, or you could write a song where like, yo, I'm gonna go do this, and then I'm gonna go smash this chick, and then I'm gonna go, you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like, people, like, you're talking about it like, this is what I'm going to do, this is what
who
I'm
I
about.
am.
Like, this is what I'm about, you know what I'm saying? I think in that context, it's like, if you're a believer, that's not okay.
I think we would agree on that. I don't feel like you do that in your music,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Not either.
I think if you did, I would tell you, like, hey, bruh, this ain't, you know what I'm saying? This ain't cool. I think the tough part, and just to even back up, is like some of the people that are part of this conversation, we don't even know if they're coloring within the lines of like Orthodox Christianity, right? And by that I mean like Jesus is Lord, Jesus rose from the grave, the Bible is the final authority over human behavior. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the inspired word of God. Like there's certain like parameters that I think it's tough because some of the people that are kind of a part of this conversation, or maybe have not wanted to be a part of this conversation but are part of this conversation by default because of marketing purposes or whatever, how they came into the game, aren't even Bible believing Christians. So it's tough to even like draw those lines, you know what I'm saying? Because like you could just weasel your way out of it and be like, well, what's a sin? Well, this isn't a sin. Well, free love and energy and vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we could kind of we can move outside of those parameters. I would ask you though, John Keith, what if that very same liberty that you think can cause somebody to dismiss your witness?
Yeah, to
ruin your witness. What if that same liberty in a certain context was the actual thing that was giving you credibility with non-believers